The lab smelled sharply of antiseptic and iron. I sat beneath a flickering fluorescent bulb, the minutes dragging while I waited for the technician to return with my test results. She had drawn my blood 20 minutes earlier. Her hands had trembled when she withdrew the needle. At first, I assumed she was merely tired, but then her gaze fell on the vial. She froze, whispered something under her breath, and hurried out of the room. I watched the crimson liquid settle slowly in the glass, hypnotic and deliberate. A strange, unshakable feeling settled in my gut. Not fear, exactly, but the sense that something was wrong. When she finally came back, she avoided my eyes entirely. "Do not leave this room," she said, and then made 3 phone calls, each one lower in tone and tighter in control than the last. I couldn't make out the words, but the panic underneath was unmistakable. An hour later, 2 men entered. Dark suits, expressionless faces. The older of the 2 carried a folder and looked at me as if I were a photograph, impossible and unreal. He opened the folder, and the silence between us stretched taut. "You might want to sit for this," he said. I was already seated. A week earlier, my wife had filed for divorce. She emptied our accounts, maxed the cards, and walked away with a smile that never touched her eyes. She called it freedom. I didn't fight, just watched her leave, thinking, she'll need me again someday. When the lawyer finally reached me to sign the last papers, I had $84 to my name. That's why I didn't think twice when I saw a flyer for a paid medical study. A couple of $100 for a routine blood draw. Simple, transactional, until the technician looked at my blood, until the men showed up. The older man flipped through my records carefully, his tone calm, but his gaze restless. "Where did you grow up?" he asked. "Ohio. Any chance you were adopted?" "No." He exchanged a look with the younger man, then turned back. "You should call your parents." The doctor in the corner gripped her hands until her knuckles turned white. When they left, she handed me a card. "If anything seems unusual, contact me immediately," she said, her voice trembling. Not for me, but for what she'd seen. That night, sleep eluded me. Her expression replayed in my mind. The fear, the hesitation, the avoidance. By morning, curiosity had overtaken anxiety. I called a number, but there was no answer. The clinic's parking lot was deserted when I drove back. The sign had vanished. I started digging. The company, Medical Genetics Research, had recently lost funding. Their final project had focused on rare hereditary mutations. Mutations. The words from the older man rang in my mind. "Call your parents." My mother hesitated when I called. "You've been getting strange calls," she said, her voice tight. After a long silence, she admitted the truth. "You weren't meant to know. He wasn't your father. We used a donor." She whispered a name I didn't recognize and mentioned he'd worked for a secretive government lab. Everything inside me froze. 2 days later, I went to the lab. Security didn't stop me. They seemed to expect me. The same older man met me and wordlessly handed a folder. Inside were photographs, DNA reports, medical records, and a newspaper clipping. Top biogenetic researcher missing after classified project shut down. The donor, my biological father. I wasn't a participant in some study. I was a study. When we thought his samples were lost, we never imagined you would appear, the man said. Suddenly, my wife's sudden curiosity, her boss's biotech job, the way she questioned my family history, it all clicked. She hadn't loved me. She had been trying to access a secret I unknowingly carried. I saw her 3 days later. She opened the door, startled. "What are you doing here?" she asked. I set the folder on the table. "You married me for this?" Her lips moved, but no words came. She scanned the documents, her eyes darting, her hands trembling. I spoke slowly, deliberately. "You thought you were using me. Turns out you were trespassing on something you couldn't even comprehend." I walked out. She followed, sobbing, pleading, but I didn't look back. 2 weeks later, I left the city, changed my number, closed every account she could touch. The doctor called once. I didn't answer. Whatever secret they found in my blood wasn't mine to solve. Now, I sit by the window as snow blankets the streets, thinking about that frozen vial with my name on it. Somewhere in a government lab. She probably dreams of power and money, of the secrets she thought she could exploit. I dream of quiet. She may have taken everything else, but she never owned me.